Well, we're dressed for the winter weather because this is the first week in January, so I hope everybody has a wonderful 2026. In today's video,
we're going to tell you a little bit about our grand plans for the year.
So hopefully you can see that we have Mike's little Christmas present to ourselves, and we hope this will improve your quality. We're not going to sit around here all day, so let's get going.
We have divided this into 3 sections. The first section is about things we're going to do around the house to get this house finally finished. Now the first one is the guest bathroom. And the guest bathroom has never been painted, never been tidied up and finished. So we'll take you in, switch some lights on so it's a bit dark in here.
Whoops.
So yeah, we have never sanded the walls, finished the walls. They're still rough plaster. The ceiling needs cleaning up, cleaning the plaster off the woodwork, and then filling the detail on the plaster and finish painting this room. Well, start painting this room. We haven't touched it yet.
So once the bathroom is finished, that'll make the house a little bit more respectable, and we can finally bring you that long-awaited tour.
So the other big job that has to be done here to really finish this off, it's more of a kind of infrastructure project than decorating, is our electricity supply. At the moment, we have a temporary electricity supply. And our supply comes from the electricity pole. It is draped over the barn roof inside a conduit, and then it goes under the roof to a circuit breaker box. And then from there, it comes up and it goes through the wall here and comes out back in the what we call the tool room in the barn, because we have an electricity supply in the barn or in that room and a light in that room. So hopefully the electricity board, eRedish, are going to come and give us the proper supply from the pole underneath the road to our utilities wall on the outside, and then the electricity will come into our property in the proper manner.
The next thing we have to finish is the painting of this whole veranda structure. So that's all the pillars on this level, all the pillars below, and all of the sides, and that section over here. Oh, the cat's hungry.
The issue with painting this is we can't decide on the colour, and we try to go and buy colour samples, but you have to buy a whole tin of paint, and that costs over €100. So we're not really wanting to spend €100 just to see if we like the colour.
So the lime paint, which would give me a nice softer, more chalky finish, well, it won't last. It'll have disappeared in a couple of years. And to be honest, painting is a really big job. We've got here, as we've shown you, there's also the gable to this building and a section, a small courtyard that has to be painted. And we're trying to match the colour to what the original type of plastering was, which is an almost, I would call it sandy tan type of colour. We've got some samples that are there, but to get it in a chalky finish, we would like to use lime. And we've been advised that we'll be doing that every couple of years. So not happening yet. So that's an idea, but that'll not happen till at least September at the earliest. So that's a long way off in the year's plans.
So the final house improvement is to make this room here into a usable room. We'll get the keys and unlock it and show you inside. Now we would really like to have a proper floor in here and make this into a real usable room. So that's on the project list. Broken up the old lumps of concrete and taken out the big rocks that are in here. So it is ready to, almost ready to lay a concrete floor.
When Simplicity Planet were putting the floor in.
Yeah, but there wasn't enough concrete on the lorry to do this, this small space here.
But it'll not be so small when we're doing it, mixing it in a wheelbarrow.
Yeah, mixing in a wheelbarrow is going to be quite a lot of wheelbarrows and quite a bit of work to lay in here. One other thing about the house, behind this door is our technical room with our heating system. And I did promise to give you a video all about the heating, but we wanted to test it a little bit further, use it in some cold weather. And we have had quite a few nights down around -4 Celsius to really test the heating. Doing that video soon.
So as we said, we've divided into 3 sections, and this is the second section, the area around the house, our plans for that. Well, the most important is we will be continuing with part 6 of the Courtyard garden transformation, and that's coming right up.
So the barn project has a floor. When we laid the floor, we ran conduit under the floor so we can have lights and sockets all over the barn, and we can use this space more conveniently, shall we say, and in the evening time when there's not so much light. The cat loves wandering around in the barn. He has various places he likes to sit.
Especially in the sunshine. He's over there, rolling around. He's fatter than a fat thing now, and we're not overfeeding him. Maggie called him 6 dinners Sid. But anyway, that's enough about the cat.
We'd like to make this a little bit more beautiful, which mainly involves rendering, plastering the concrete block wall. Very soon we will bring you driveway and car parking area improvements. So the area between the driveway and the road is getting planted up, and we're shaping it and building some borders and edges to the planting areas, and all of the areas around the house will get planted up a lot more. Out here in this relatively small section between the courtyard and the area, we have a pretty major project to do. So we started clearing the vines from this area, and there's a fairly large section of collapsed wall which needs to be rebuilt. This is going to be a fairly big project over several days, if not weeks, to pull back the earth, rebuild the wall, and then re-level all the earth. See, this part of the wall has collapsed and needs to be rebuilt. And of course we need to remove the eyesore of all of the house wood which is designated as firewood. I was just thinking we also need to build a wood store.
Oh, no.
A covered wood store to keep all of our firewood dry over the winter.
Haven't shown you this bit in a while because the kiwi arch that still hasn't happened after 4 years is now starting to fall apart.
4 years ago we built this, or 4.5 years ago, and it hasn't really received much attention, but now we're going to make a big effort on this and replace some of these pieces of mimosa and fix it all a bit better, and hopefully we'll actually get some kiwis that will grow up and over it. We're feeling a bit more confident this year. We're living here, so we're going to water them more.
Yeah, we
And
say
hopefully
that every
will
year.
make the difference.
This is just, look, it whacks me on the head. To be honest, it's really never going to be strong enough for a kiwi arch. We're going to have to come up with something else. It looked very beautiful for a long time, but the reality is...
Oh, it still can look beautiful.
I don't know.
I do.
Well, we've got some frizzled up thornless blackberries there. Oh, let me just show you. But look. These were very nice, but they frizzled in the hot sun. So this is like dried blackberries. Not even the birds eat these. So this whole area behind me is devoid of plants and trees. And the reason for that is because although we planted a lot over the last 4 years while we were waiting for permissions to rebuild the house and all of that, we left this area open because it was somewhere we expected all the machinery to come in, and that didn't happen. So it looks like we could have done it, but that's how it goes. Yeah, we cleared everything up, but it wasn't necessary. Very windy. Move along, I can't get down.
So the pond garden project started, I don't know, more than 18 months ago, and it's kind of stalled. We've been busy with some other projects.
Like a house.
Like a house. But this year we want to make a bit more progress down here. We have planted some things. Not everything has survived, but we want to get a lot more stuff planted down here. A lot more of the structure of this area finished off, and make it generally a place where we can come and sit and enjoy the space.
Well, this is the asparagus section, the asparagus and beans section, and this is the year that we will be harvesting so many asparaguses, that we don't know what to do with. That's the idea. Well, we do know what to do with all of them. But it might look like a big mess to you, but these are vines. They don't produce anything, but they provide a huge amount of shade for the asparagus in the summer. And the mess that you think you see behind, or that you do see, is actually all the old asparagus ferns that provide a lovely habitat for the insects. And that's one of the things about gardening. It's very difficult to get the aesthetic that most people want when you leave the stuff to look like a mess. But it's twofold. In the late summer, when it gets really hot, it acts as shading for those asparagus roots, and then in the autumn and winter, a habitat for nesting insects and all sorts of little creatures to hide away and stay protected.
What else is left on our plans list?
The gate.
Oh yeah, the gate. So down lower on our land we have quite a lot of javeli, or wild pigs, wild boar, whatever you like to call them, roaming around. And we've put fencing up around the pond garden and here to discourage them from coming up to the top two terraces where we actually grow most of our vegetables and fruit. Now at the moment it's quite temporary, and it is a bit awkward to get through the gate.
What about this gardening feature? I shouldn't really touch it because Dan pees into it to supposedly keep the javelli away.
Or discourage them.
Discourage them. It does discourage them, but nothing stops the deer from coming in.
No, we can't stop the deer. We need 10-foot high fences because they can jump so high.
Yeah. To be able to legitimately continue to call ourselves Nearby Veggies, then we need to be growing some veggies. And this year we're going to continue with that, and I'll show you where we're going with that. With me. Over the last year, I haven't been showing you as much in the garden as I have previously, and just in case you think I haven't been doing anything, we've got some garlic planted here, and behind me we've got broccoli, cauliflower and some tree kale, which are magnificent. Oh, this little cauliflower got colded. Oh well. Oh, that one looks a bit better. And we've already harvested a lot of the broccoli for Christmas dinner.
I'll put one for you.
Yes, please. So normally our oranges are quite late, so I use the early January time to make marmalade, but this year they're really quite sweet. Well, not bursting with sweetness, but not quite as sharp as I would like them to be for marmalade. So we'll have to start eating these again, just as eating things.
Yeah.
Will you throw that in your pocket for me? It's all very well doing it. I've got to hold the camera. Well done. Butterfingers. We got broad beans down here. I could lie and say that I planted them, but they're actually volunteers. So that is what happens when you don't disturb the soil, which is pretty darn good. I mean, they're growing randomly everywhere. Oh yeah, there's a bit there. Yeah, that's really quite good.
Yeah.
For flavour, you know.
All right.
Do you want a wee bit?
Mm.
Good with the salad?
Mm-hmm. Yep, nice mustard flavour out of the leaves.
As soon as February comes round, we'll be getting ready to get our potatoes in the ground and get our staple annuals, the start of our staple annuals going for this year. So it's kind of always something going on. January is kind of a relaxing month, except for the tidying up and the clearing up. Dan's still got a little bit of olive wood to chip. So we've got lettuces still going. I try to plant them in succession over the months, so we always have a lettuce and some sweetheart cabbages and some others, and more broccoli. Oh, that's ready for dinner.
Yeah. Got that with our lasagna for dinner.
Yeah, and then over here we've got coriander growing between these perennial leeks. Now these are the perennial leeks that Gary gave us some years ago, but it's actually taken me a few years to get to grips with how they grow. And the trick is, do not pull them out of the ground. You chop them off as low as you can, and then they regrow and sprout. And then at the end of the season, I can pull them out, and a whole lot of little bulbils are there to replant. So I'm finally getting an actual patch of these ready, and they can be eaten at any time of the year and at any thickness. You don't have to worry about it. So yeah, there's coriander as well growing in between that, and some red cabbages on the go, and some beetroot. We haven't got much beetroot this year. Like I said before, I always leave as much of the dead stuff about for the winter food for the creatures.
Managing the woodland areas of our land is an ongoing process of clearing the invasive mimosa and giving space for the native corks, oak trees, madroños to grow. I didn't do much of it last year, and everything here behind me is 1 year's growth. And looking through here, there are quite a few dangerous trees which need to be taken down.
You see how they fall from here, and then they just lean over, knock other trees down, and there's a big one there. But that little oak is coming along.
This little oak tree is coming along. It's got a little bit of space around it to grow. And there are other cork oaks and oak trees all the way down through the mimosa, which are starting to grow a little bit more. Even wee one wants to come and see what we're up to over here.
Hello, Nata. Yeah, so all of these are leaning and getting lower and lower and lower, and just creating a real difficult thicket to manage. But we are making progress every year. If you have anything else that you might be interested in finding out, then let us know in the comments, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Now, before we do that,